This week's video, I'm doing a very highly requested video. You guys asked me to share some alkaline recipes, so that is what I'm gonna do today. Now, if you are new to the kind of alkaline acid theories, in very, very simple terms, the body strives to kind of keep a pH balance between 7.3 and 7.5, and that's a blood pH and a urinary pH of around 7. And it's thought that at that pH level, your body should be functioning and moving properly. Now, with that in mind, it's also thought that a lot of diseases formed in the body is a result of your body being too acidic. So the dietary goal around that is to eat more alkaline forming foods than acid forming foods, and that should keep your body at a nice pH level. Now, the reasons for your body to be too acidic could be due to eating too many acidic forming foods. It could be stress, toxins, immune system reactions. There's so many different reasons, but the kind of general goal is to just eat more alkaline forming foods than acid forming foods. As you guys probably know, Dr. Sebi has done lots of work on this. He has his own list of electric foods which he recommends for optimum health. I will cross-reference the foods that he's mentioned with the foods that I'm going to share in this recipe of alkaline foods. I feel like I just spoke a lot. I hope that all made sense. So today I'm going to share with you a meal idea and a juice idea that are using alkaline foods. Please give this video a thumbs up if you're excited for this week's video, and don't forget to subscribe because I'm here every week with new videos to share with you guys. So let's get into these alkaline rich food ideas. So we've got some kale. We all know that kale is very nutritious and delicious. As well as that, we've got some quinoa. Quinoa is a great grain to use. It's got all 9 essential amino acids, lots of fiber, lots of protein, very delicious. One of my favorite grains to use and one of my favorite sources of protein on a vegan diet. And we've got some apples, which are nice and alkaline, and they're gonna add a really nice sweet crunch to the meal that I'm gonna share with you guys. We've got some limes too to add some more flavor. I know normally when we look at limes and lemons and things like that, we are looking at acid, but when you digest them, they actually are alkaline forming in the body. So they are alkaline in this instance. We're gonna use some squash. Squash is amazing. It's got up to 50% of your recommended daily amount of vitamin C, plenty of vitamin A, very nutritious and delicious, and it's gonna add some great flavor too. We're also gonna use some parsley. Parsley is alkaline. It's not actually on Dr. Sebi's list of foods, so if you wanted to stick to that, you could swap it out with basil, but it's alkaline. I love parsley, so we're gonna be using parsley today. Avocados, because I mean, who doesn't love avocados, and they're alkaline and delicious, so we're gonna add some avocados too. So let's get into this amazing, delicious meal that I'm gonna share with you guys. So we're gonna start off with this huge butternut squash, and I wanted to use a huge one because when you roast these really do shrink in size. So I've got this beautiful one here. I'm just gonna cut the butternut squash in half. This can be quite difficult, so you wanna use a really good knife for this. And I'm gonna cut it in half again, pop it open, and then we've got the seeds. As I've mentioned before, you can keep the seeds, you can reuse them, you can add them to salads and things like that to reduce your food waste. Then I'm gonna slice it up. And you just want to cut them into small pieces, and you want to keep the sizes very similar just in order for them to cook at the same time. But they don't need to be perfect by any means. And then we've got all this gorgeous, delicious looking butternut squash. I just love the color of butternut squash. So we're going to add it to a roasting tray, and you want to add these in a single layer. So if you need to use 2 roasting tins, that's completely fine. And we're not going to cook them in oil. We're just going to cook them as they are. Pop them in the oven to a preheated oven, and they're gonna roast for about 45 minutes, just until they're nice and soft and ready to eat. Meanwhile, we're gonna prepare our quinoa. So I'm gonna use 1 cup of quinoa to 2 cups of water. And you just really want to make sure you give your quinoa a really good rinse before you cook it, which also makes it a lot easier on digestion. And as you can see from the first wash with the color of the water, why it is important to wash the quinoa. So we're just going to drain that and rinse it again and wash it in some water to just get the water running a little bit more clear. Once you've done that, we're just going to pop that straight to the pan. And like I said before, just double the amount of water to the ratio of quinoa. Bring it to a boil, and once it started to heat up, pop a lid on top, reduce the heat, and just let that cook. And that takes about 10 minutes, and you'll get perfect fluffy quinoa every time. And also season with a little bit of salt. Meanwhile, we're going to prepare our kale, and we're also going to give our kale a really good wash and rinse. And then we're going to make a little dressing that's going to go with it. So I'm just going to grate some garlic. Garlic is also alkaline, so that's great too. Adding some extra virgin olive oil, a high quality extra virgin olive oil. And we're also going to use some of our lime. So we're just going to roll it, squeeze it, get it flowing, and then slice it in half and squeeze in a nice good amount of lime juice. And also, I lost the clip, I also added a little bit of apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar is alkalizing to the body too. And you just want to season it into your taste preferences. Now that the quinoa is cooked, it is nice and fluffy and perfect. We're just going to set that aside and let that cool completely before we add it to the kale. So now we're just going to massage the dressing and the kale all together, and this will help the kale just wilt by itself naturally, which is easier on digestion, and it will really help bring out some good nutrients. Then I'm just going to get some parsley. We're going to finely slice this, and we're going to mix in the parsley with our roasted butternut squash. So we're just going to put all the squash into a bowl, and now we're going to season it with some extra virgin olive oil. So we are using oil, but this way we are keeping the nutrients of the oil, because we all know when we cook the oil, we lose a lot of the benefits of actually having olive oil. So we're going to add it here as well as the parsley, add some salt if you're using salt, and mix it all together. And then you get this really delicious, simple roasted butternut squash, which is so tasty. Now that the quinoa has cooled, we're just going to mix together the kale with the quinoa, and it's going to get the dressing that we used infused with the quinoa as well. And at this point, you can always add a little bit more dressing, always kind of cook to your taste preferences. So whatever tastes good for y'all. Then we're going to add some apples. Apples are alkaline, and they're going to add a really nice sweet crunch to the quinoa salad. So we're going to slice these up into little pieces. We're going to keep the skins on. These are organic. And when it comes to alkaline rich foods, always try and get organic. Non-GMO organic food is always the most nutrient rich food. So that's what you want to opt for when you are shopping. I'm just going to chop up the parsley. I'm going to add some parsley straight to the quinoa as well. And again, if you're sticking to Dr. Sebi's specific ingredients, then swap that out for basil. I'm going to squeeze on top with a bit more lime just to add a little bit more flavor. And I do love lime. So, and then season with salt and pepper to your preference. And finally, I've got an avocado. Moment of truth. Is it going to be a good one? Ah, yes, it is. Look at that amazing looking avocado. I'm going to slice that up, and we're going to add the avocado straight to the salad. And you get this really epic, delicious kale, apple, avocado salad. And I also forgot to mention I added some hemp seeds. Hemp seeds are alkaline, and they're full of protein and lots of fun nutrients. So it's a nice little addition. And then you get this finished meal with everything together. You've got the kale, apple, quinoa salad, some avocados, and some roasted butternut squash for a really simple, delicious, whole food meal. So another way to get in some alkaline forming foods into your diet is doing juices. So now I'm going to share with you a juice using lots of delicious vegetables that are alkaline to make a really simple green juice. So let's get into it. So to start off with, we've got some apples, and I'm just going to cut them up so they actually fit in the juicer. I've got parsley, kale, celery, ginger, an apple, and some fresh lime, and that is the juice that we're going to be making today. So I'm going to start off with my ginger, get that straight in the juicer, get that pressing. And we're going to add in our parsley, kale, the apples, squeezing it all in to make a really nice green juice. So I'm going to pour this into a jug, all this deliciousness, and I'm just going to squeeze to my taste preference with some fresh lime juice. A really simple alkaline juice. So there we have it, our alkaline friendly meal idea as well as our alkaline friendly juice. Two very, very simple, delicious, healthy recipes. The power in cooking with whole plant-based foods. You've got the really delicious quinoa, which is infused with the lime, a bit of